round of applause to our vendors. Thank you so much. They really are demonstrations of what it means to suit up and show up and come together to show that we all have a part to play in substance misuse prevention in our communities. We are all a community of preventionists. My name is Natalie Philpott, and I am the programs coordinator at the Collaborative, and I am so grateful to welcome you all in person. This is the first RTU in-person kickoff that we have had since 2019. Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. And because my head works the way it does as a bad neighborhood in my mind sometimes, I didn't think any of you were going to show up. So I am so grateful that you did. So, thank you to the vendors for being here. Thank you to our school-based and community-based reps. They are at the back right there. Please wave your hand to our school-based reps. They volunteer their time and energy to educate our boots on the ground, providing this meaningful substance misuse education, and we are so grateful for their time. This work is worth doing, and we are so deeply appreciative of you being here. A couple of housekeeping things. Please make sure that you checked in using the QR code. There's one on the way out or on the rep tables. That is your attendance for being here now. The way that you are going to get attendance and earn credit for event number 1, this is event number 1 kickoff, is you have to fill out a follow-up form. A follow-up form that can be found on the RTU portal. You go to the RTU website, RTU portal, and there are required surveys, tabs, and all the required surveys that you need are there to answer. Please get those responses in about being here. Ooh, remember I said phones away. So if you're on your phone, try and do that now. After, thank you, because you're really going to want to listen to our speaker today. So the way that you're going to gain attendance, and we'll send an email about this probably tomorrow, this week, is you go onto those required surveys and fill out what booths you visited today and how those community members are substance misuse or prevention in our communities. If you have not registered yet for the RTU program, there is time. Head on over to our website, and the direct link to register is right there. Do that as soon as possible so that you can get your pass on time. Seniors, if you are a senior and you've been in the program before, it's a long program, right? 6 years of being in the program can get a little bit mundane. There are different options for you that you are going to discuss at your senior meetings. There's a book club. You can work with the food cupboard. You can also engage in an equipment drive initiative. Or you can do the normal RTU track, so make sure that you talk to those senior reps about what it is that you would like to do. This year we are focusing on accountability, integrity, and responsibility. We are also going to be focusing on the substances of alcohol, tobacco and nicotine, and opioids, okay? We are going to engage in meaningful conversations that help us understand that our choices can either be healthy or not so healthy, and we want to help you engage in those healthy decisions. So, please make sure that you turned off your cell phones and you are present. And I want to, before we end, say thank you deeply, deeply to the Collaborative staff and everyone who's sort of associated with the Collaborative today, all of the honored guests. So raise your hand if you are the Collaborative staff. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support and putting this event together. And thank you mostly to the woman who I'm going to recognize for speaking next, who is a mentor of mine professionally and who really has supported, as the whole Collaborative has, our initiative to really focus on the pro-social assets that it takes to make sure that you're making those healthy decisions. So without further ado, our Executive Director, Mary Ann.
Thanks, everyone. Ooh, this really is a run.
Yeah, it's loud.
And thanks to Natalie, who's been the one who's wrangled all of this together. And even though we thought that we put it on without you all, thanks for showing up. It's more fun with the people. This year, the Collaborative is working on a theme around a community of preventionists. And I've worked in substance misuse prevention in one way or another for over 20 years, so I can tell you that prevention can be a really confusing thing to define. And there's lots of different ways to approach prevention. And so we've asked you guys to articulate some things about what you think about prevention up in the parent corner and down here with the young people. And because I don't have a memory of things very well, I'm just going to read off some sticky notes because some of them are really great. So I have, my mother talks about it a lot with me. Great. That's definitely a prevention tool. Finding hobbies and things I enjoy. Definitely a prevention. Providing a safe, supportive system for all around to create open conversations and safe people. Supporting healthy decisions. Good one. That's what we're doing here right now. Supporting each other. Love to see that. I'm going to run out of being able to pull my things off. Being there for people when they need you most. Excellent quality in a person. Here's some lengthier ones. Prevention looks like communication between family members. True. And that's why we have both caring adults and young people here. Prevention means to educate others on serious matters and on what to do during them. And this is to ensure the people of our future don't repeat mistakes. Another really great one. Now I'm going to do a big no-no and wipe out my phone because there's some great responses from upstairs with the parents that I wanted to remember. One of them I can remember without looking at my pictures, which is cooking and conversations with my kids. Undivided attention on car rides. How many of y'all do that? To use the car ride to have those conversations. Knowing the facts and making good choices. A lot of conversations over and over. And volunteering in my community. These are all great examples of prevention, and they don't seem that difficult. They're very common things that we can all do. At the heart of the professional definition of prevention are two things: risk factors and protective factors. Essentially, risk factors are those things that make it easier for harm to happen. And protective factors are those things that try to protect us from those harms. And every community, family, and individual has some risk factors and some protective factors within them. The collaborative, we try to hone in on the protective factors. We like to support the protective things in the community and within individuals to strengthen their own resilience. And I feel silly even talking about protective factors because it makes something that's pretty simple feel really much more complicated than it needs to be. And protective factors are pretty similar across, no matter how old you are. So parents, caring adults, young people, all the same. It can be as simple as having friends that you can rely on, having a hobby or a sport or a craft that you like to participate in, participating with a spiritual or religious organization, doesn't matter what kind. Doing something outside of yourself, giving of yourself, volunteering, helping a friend in need. Sometimes protective factors can be legal. Think about our seatbelt laws. And at the collaborative, one of the most important ones that we try to work on is having a community that cares. And that's what's here today. As you look around this room, thanks to our vendors and participants and our schools and our representatives, we've brought together a community that cares. From the staff at the collaborative and the Vermont Department of Health who are here, who are literally professional preventionists, to the massage and yoga therapists who help to ground and center ourselves and become more in tune with ourselves, to the artisans who help to share their passion with us, to social service organizations who provide for us all what we need so that we can face the day and make good decisions for ourselves. And then the Refuse to Use reps in their schools who help to pave the way and make this program as good and robust and well thought out as it can be. And then the final two pillars, the caring adults and peers. And these are the influencers for young people. Your acceptance matters, your encouragement matters, your support matters. You matter in each other's lives to create that circle of preventionists. At Refuse to Use, we want to make that healthy choice the easy choice every time. And that's why we do the education and have the events, and then we pair it with the healthy alternative of your season pass, wherever you choose. And there's a lot of good choices getting made daily, minute to minute even, by our young people. But let's face it, we all falter, we make mistakes, we have regrets, we do something dumb. But it's this getting back up that counts. And it's this team, community of preventionists that's going to make that getting back up moment a little bit easier and get you ready again for your next opportunity. And since we have spoken about everyone else's responsibility, let's take a moment and reflect upon ourselves. And what is my responsibility to myself or to my young person? And in the Caring Adult Pledge, it's simple. I will support our youth and encourage them in their decision to make healthy choices. Support and encouragement. That's your pledge. That's your role in this community of preventionists. From the participants' pledge, I will do my very best to engage fully in the Refuse to Use program and to attempt to use the skills I have learned in a practical way in my own life. I will do my very best to reach out for help and resources from the community that supports me if I need guidance in making healthier choices. It doesn't say I'm going to be the best at this and I'm going to make the right decision every time. It says I will do my best to use these skills and I will reach out for help. So look around you, because this is a part of the team that you can reach out to for help. Your community of preventionists. We are here and we are ready to try to make the healthy choice the easiest choice every time.
So in thinking of who we wanted to speak today, speakers can be powerful, right? People whose job it is to come from another place and speak and to give 5 bullet points on how you can lead a better life, right? But we were thinking about how we are so fortunate in our community to be surrounded by everyday heroes who have a message and who suit up and show up. And I'm wondering, just by a raise of hands, how many of you have ever been coached by Coach Kate Slade? Yeah, a couple of you. I know that my daughter has decided to play hockey, a sport that she never would have entertained doing, because she's going to be coached by Kate Slade. And Kate Slade has impacted me personally and professionally, and has become a dear friend, and is a true representation of what it means to suit up and show up for young people in our community. So I am so excited to welcome to the stage today to speak for you, Kate Slade, my very good friend.
All right. Hi, everyone. Okay, so first, thank you very much, Natalie. I don't like talking about myself or how other people talk about me, so this is very uncomfortable. But thank you. I'm very excited to be here. I'm honored and humbled to be asked to talk to everyone. To be honest, I'm nervous. Okay, so I have like 20 minutes of talking. There's no possible way I could have memorized it, so I will be reading a little bit. Okay, so when I was asked to speak here today by Natalie, my initial thought was, why the hell would you want me? Like, I'm just a person, I have nothing to say that these kids want to hear. But Natalie was like, no, I want you to come. I really think you have a good message, so just come. So she asked, and I'm not going to let her down, so I showed up. Okay. To start off, I feel like I need to give a little backstory on me. A lot of people know me. A lot of people just think that they know everything about me. So I feel as though people see me, or oftentimes they hear me, I'm very loud, everybody knows that. And they just think that I'm this incredibly happy person that honestly wants to be involved in absolutely everything. And I do strive to do that on most days, but it's the furthest thing from the truth. I personally I would describe myself as a rule follower, a go-getter, an athlete, a teammate, ultimately a pretty good person who strives to show up and be there for people. I'm also somebody who deals with depression. I've lost way too many people in my life. I've had a lot of loved ones die. And over the past 4 years, I've lost the 3 closest people to me varsity hockey team, and that's what I did. I went to school and I was hockey player. It was wonderful. I mean, that's everybody's dream. Go play sports, go to school, that's all you have to worry about. So it was great, and I loved it. But there's also something growing up here that you don't realize until you leave here. That Park Gardens is a really good school, and this is not how the rest of the world lives. And you have so many more opportunities than the average high schooler. So I'm at this college, and I just realized that socially and academically such a step backwards, and I needed to leave. So I decided to transfer to New England, I was at New England College in Hamburg, and I decided to transfer to South Virginia and Newport Island. I talked to the coach, I was going to seamlessly transition over to their hockey team over winter break, and that was going to happen. So on December 11th of that year, there was a banner raising ceremony in this very rink for the state championship that my hockey team had won the year before. So Henniker, New Hampshire started going. So I drove home, and I figured I'd go back to school the next day. It was a typical Vermont night. It snowed. It wasn't a big deal, but it snowed. That's kind of key. So the next morning, my dad had said, okay, don't go back to school yet. The roads are cleared. But he was just ridiculous. The roads are fine. And I knew that I was going to go back to school the second he walked out the door. But he didn't want to hear that, so I told him, okay, yeah, I'll wait. So he left, and then 2 seconds later, I left. My mom had worked the night before. She was a nurse, and she wasn't home yet, so she was really busy to leave. So I made it until just outside of Brattleboro. The road's kind of windy. And I very clearly remember thinking, oh my God, the roads are fine. What was he worried about? That was also the last clear memory I have from that day. The very next turn, I vaguely remember this car just coming at me. We were going 50 miles per hour each, and that was basically how it all started. He lost control of his car. He hit me head on, and the only part of my car that actually hit was my front driver's side. So basically just me. I was the only part that was actually hit by his car. I have bits and pieces and memories from that day of the firefighters and EMTs trying to get me out. But my engine was on my knee, or on my lap. My knee was completely cut across, and who knows if it was attached. And I was in unconsciousness. So I remember being in the ambulance on the way to the hospital and just thinking that my head hurt so bad, and I begged them to turn off the sirens, and the man looked at me like I was crazy because he's like, no, you need to get to the hospital right now. So I get to the hospital, and the rest of the day is just a blur. I remember, just like in movies, like I was laying on the bed, there was all these hospital lights, and nobody was in there. And I couldn't move, and I just kept lifting my head up, and just seeing blood and torn clothes, and I have no idea what that was going on. And I started panicking. Many of you also know my little Mark, who happened to be my boyfriend at the time. And I just started freaking out that I had to call him. So the nurses came in, they calmed me down, and I was like, I have to call someone. And they're like, oh, your parents are on the way. So I said, okay, no, I have to call Mark. So call him. They're holding the phone tighter. I just start freaking out. I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. I'm in a hospital. So they take the phone, they talk to him. Ultimately, him and Sister Tammy ended up coming up to Brattleboro. Apparently, somewhere during the day, I called my parents and told them about the accident. I have no idea when or how it happened, but they also were on the way. So my dad had been a firefighter his whole life, and he was fine until he was on the way to the hospital. And him and my mom passed the car on my flatbed, or on the flatbed. And my mom always said my dad just went white. He was completely white, and my mom couldn't figure out why. And she asked him, and he just said, people don't live through accidents like that. So at that point, they both assumed that I'd be dead when they showed up at the hospital, and I would go on the freeway. So, okay, now we're getting to the life-changing point. So, countless scans were done that day. I think every single bone in my body was x-rayed. Turns out that I just had a really bad leg injury and a pretty severe concussion. Yeah, so, sorry. Okay, so I spent most of the day in surgery. When I came out of surgery, I just remember being in this hospital room. Tammy was there, Mark was there, my parents were there. I was in a full leg brace, but I felt pretty good. It was all on pavement, I was ripped up on all the surgery stuff, and I didn't feel any pain, so I was good. So the doctor comes in, and he the doctor spiel, if any of you have ever had injuries, same thing, you know, okay, everything went well, you're gonna be fine, you're gonna heal in time. I was like, great, like, I'm pumped. Okay, when can I get back to ice hockey? And this is like a big moment that I will never forget. He comes over, looks at my parents, he looks at me, and he's just, I'm sorry, I don't think you understood. Surgery went well, but your hockey days are over, your lacrosse days are over, your running days are over, and you're gonna be lucky if you can walk in the morning. And that just crushed me, that devastated me. In that moment, he destroyed me. All I could think of was I have to get away from all of these people because I have to have a mental breakdown and I can't do it in front of people. So I somehow hobbled out of bed with my leg raised and my IV and being very active still. I got to the bathroom and I just broke down. And I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. He had just ruined me. I mean, at the time, you think that sports and school are all that you have to look for, so what was I supposed to do now? So then, and this is very, very corny, and you're going to laugh at me, in a very preteen, Hallmark movie type of way, I just looked in the mirror, and I honestly thought, screw you. Who the hell do you think you are? You're just a doctor. You don't know me, and you're not going to tell me what I'm going to do with my life. So I had decided, in that moment, that I was the only person in control of my life, and I was going to do whatever I had to do to get back to where I wanted to be. So it was a very long road to recovery. It was very, very long. And with every step forward, I took like 5 steps back. I was deathly afraid of taking pain meds because, like many of you, you hear the horror stories, and I have been told forever, oh, if you take pain meds, you're going to get addicted. So I was super scared to take pain meds. I, to this day, will brush it aside and be like, oh, I'm fine, because I don't want to do it. But anyway, so it turns out that my arm also was messed up, that we missed that day. And I've had a couple of surgeries from that, and well, the doctors did a wonderful job trying to fix it. They were not able to make it exactly the way that it should be, but I've been able to adapt and figure out ways that I can just still do things. So anyways, it wasn't easy. There were definitely many times where it would have been much easier to just give up and just do drugs, do alcohol, numb the world out. But it wasn't me. The only thing that scared me more than becoming addicted to drugs and alcohol was letting everybody down. Because so much of who I am is being a teammate and showing up for the people I care about, and the thought of letting everybody down just destroyed me. So after a year, it was like a little over a year, I kind of was back to normal. I still had a little bit of rehab from surgery, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to squall, I'm gonna go join teams again and sit on the bench in my pass, and it's gonna be great. So, like I said previously, I'm also, by nature, a rule follower. It's kind of pathetic, but the thought of breaking rules, team rules, legal rules, training rules, parents rules, didn't matter what kind of rules, it scared the death out of me. Which leads me to my life rule number 1. You are only as successful as the people that you actually surround yourself with. Meaning, if you surround yourself with good people, honest people, polite people, eventually, whether you're there or not, you will become like that. And vice versa, if you surround yourself with kids that cheat and lie and break rules, eventually, that too is what you are going to become. There's this natural phenomenon that happens regardless of other factors, that you're always going to slowly morph into the people that you are around the most. It just happens. It's hard. It's harder than you think, especially in this day and age. And it is not always easy walking away from the people and groups that you think are actually good for you. And now, with social media, because you all live in a world of social media, you have a very false sense of reality. This part, I'm kind of old and I feel old, but the old people sometimes refer to it as keyboard warriors. You're so brave and you can write whatever you want and you can make whoever you want or make fun of whoever you want, on your phones, but many few of you actually know how to go up to somebody and have a face-to-face conversation and say, hi, I'm so-and-so, what's your name? So, it's kind of hard. Your generation, in a way, has it so much harder, obviously, because of that. If you make mistakes growing up, or if we made mistakes growing up, more often than not, nobody found out. Like, we made a mistake, we learned, we moved on. You guys make a mistake, you pretty much can guarantee that somebody's gonna look out their phone and it's gonna be because I know that I'm older, I know that your parents are older, but we are not immune to social media. We are very aware of the negative posts and the negative comments and the negative videos and the illegal substances that get shared on social media all the time. Just because we don't call you out on it or confront you with this, it doesn't mean that we don't know who's doing it, what's doing it, where they are. We just simply keep our mouths shut. So, if a kid in this community, oh wait, I did that right. Ultimately, the lesson here is surround yourself with people who are going to be good, people that are going to be better and keep you out of trouble, and are also not scared to tell you when you're doing stupid stuff. You want people around you that are going to be honest with you. And in being a decent person, if you are some of those kids that are posting things with the sole purpose of humiliating others, you should probably take a good hard look at yourself in the mirror and be like, oh, is this really who I want to be? If this happens to me, am I going to feel good or am I going to feel like dirt? So instead of recording, just put your phone away, walk away, and move on with your life. That brings me to rule number 2. Everything in life is a choice. Every day is a fresh start to start something new and make better choices than the day before. You're entering a time of your life where you are children, you are minors, you are legally responsible by your parents, but you're not kids. You can't blame your parents for everything anymore. You can't blame your teammates, you can't blame your coaches. Occasionally you can blame hormones, but you can't blame other people for your actions, okay? No one controls your actions except for you. You really need to learn to accept that the way your life is going to turn out is based on millions of little choices that you are going to make every day on your own for the rest of your life. That, in a nutshell, is one of the main reasons that I never got majorly into drugs or alcohol. To stand here and say that I don't drink and that I've never smoked, that would be a lie. And I'm not about lying. I don't think anything good comes out of lying. I was your age, what seems not too long ago, and I've definitely made my fair share of mistakes, and I'm not going to pretend that I haven't. But I've learned from those mistakes. There have been numerous people in my life that have chosen to go down the substance abuse path. And to this day, many of them still struggle. Many look back and wish they had made different choices for their life. And as incredibly sad as it is to say, a lot of those people are now dead. My generation has lost so many people that it is very hard to even keep track sometimes. A lot of people, or there have been multiple people in my life that have died from accidental overdoses. My college roommate was a nursing major. It's very difficult to be a nursing major. She couldn't handle the pressure, and I was going back senior year and learned that she OD'd over the summer, and now she's dead. I've lost a lot of people to harmless drugs. That, you know, oh, I'm just gonna smoke every now and then, but they don't realize that, okay, now this one's laced with something, and now you're just dead because it killed you instantly. I've lost a lot of people to, they weren't really drunk that much, they weren't really high that much, but they were under the influence. They thought they were able to do something, and whatever activity they were doing killed them because they had the confidence to do it and they didn't realize that they were actually in the situation they were. Sorry, I just got upset about that. Anyways, all of those people, they're dead. They're never coming back. And it destroyed every single person who loved them in this community, in their family. And now you're left with all these people that are trying to figure out how to live in a world that doesn't make sense to them anymore. Okay? The town has been rocked so many times over these past few years, and I really don't know how much more it can handle. This is corny, but please hear me when I say, you are absolutely not the exception. Everybody's body works the same. Everybody's heart, their lungs, their brain, they all need oxygen. Does not matter what your social standing is, who you hang out with, who your parents are, drugs and alcohol are going to affect you the same. It's going to affect everybody the same. Kind of on a tangent here, but I'm also a parent, as you know, and seeing how things have changed over the years, it kind of scares me, because there's a whole generation that doesn't quite grasp, in my opinion, the whole actions and consequences concept. It's like they've been told so many times, if you do this, if you take this, this is going to happen, but then it never actually happened. So they have this false notion that, oh, I can do this drug and it's not going to happen to me. Please, if you take nothing from this, take away that you are not the exception. You are not the person that is magically not going to be affected by something laced with fentanyl. I know how easy it is for you to get your hands on basically anything you want. And I know you think you're adults, but your brains are not fully formed. Okay? You don't understand all of the consequences of using drugs and alcohol, especially at such a young age. If you look around this room, it's full of caring adults and people that want you to be here so that you can share your life together. All right, back to the choices. Okay, you're going to choose who you hang out with. You're going to choose what you do or do not do. But you're also going to make mistakes. You're kids, and it's going to happen. It's natural. There's two big things, in my opinion, that I always tell people about mistakes. And it's actually to call it a mistake and not a regret. If you call it a regret, you're kind of just putting an arbitrary excuse and it falls under, oh, I just regret that. I don't need to really talk about it because I regret it. If you're calling it a mistake, kind of taking ownership over that. You're realizing, oh, I made a mistake. I made a choice to do this. It was bad. And now I need to fix it. So I also want to say that once you take ownership of it and you realize that you made a mistake, it's not the mistake that ever defines you. It's what you do after the mistake. That's what matters. That's what counts. That's what's going to keep you going down the right track to get to where you want to be. Sometimes you will be lucky and you will be able to figure it out on your own. Sometimes you will need help and you will lean on the people that you surround yourself with. Sometimes you're going to need more. And that's a thing that can be very hard. I'm going through it with my own kid right now. It can be scary, but ultimately it's very necessary to have a trusted adult in your life that you can talk to about anything. And I seriously urge all of you, I know that you might not believe me, but if you don't already, talk to your parents, your grandparents, your uncles, your aunts, your guardians, whoever it is that you have a trusted adult in your life feel comfortable. Start talking. We were all once kids and we get it. We've probably been in the same situation. Drugs aren't new. Alcohol isn't new. Social peer pressure isn't new. We've all been there and we probably understand more than you think. Also realize on that note, if there is some specific thing that we say don't do, probably because we personally have experienced it and have firsthand knowledge of how horrible it is and is just trying to save you from learning the hard way. Okay, another rule. Always be honest. Nothing good comes from secrets and lies. I've seen people tell so many lies that they cut up and they don't know what they're doing, who they're telling what, and we live in a very small community. The truth will always come out. Whether you realize it or not, your teachers, your parents, your coaches, we know a lot of other adults, and we will hear the truth, whether it comes from your mouth or somebody else. So, just tell the truth. It's that simple. That doesn't mean be rude. Not every thought that you have in your head has to come out of your mouth or be written on a keyboard somewhere. Just be honest, be respectful, be kind, and trust me, it's a very good quality to have. All right, the last of the rules, be accountable for your actions and show up. Say what you mean and mean what you say. If you tell a group of people or friends that you're going to do something, do it. Don't bail and let everyone down, because whether you realize it or not, everybody is counting on you. And when you start bailing, it has a ripple effect. First it's one, then it's two, then you have a whole group of people that are just a bunch of individuals. So here's the thing with any type of relationship. It goes both ways. Relationships, all types of relationships, it doesn't matter what kind, it takes energy. And it's extremely exhausting to always put in the effort and never get the same effort back. If you find yourself in situations like that, maybe reevaluate the group of people that you're surrounding yourself with. And if you really do want to be with those people, be blunt and say, hey, why are you not putting in the effort? It sounds corny, but sometimes all it takes is one person making an effort to make an entire group to come back together. All right, so going full circle, everyone in this room is capable to do whatever you want to do. No matter how things seem, whether they're good or bad, you are the only person that can dictate how your life is going to go. You have to choose to make a series of good decisions. You have to realize and accept that mistakes are a part of life. And no matter how old you get, you will continue to make mistakes, and that's okay. That is how you grow. Don't ever let anyone tell you what you are or are not capable of doing. Set your own goals, and then surround yourself with people that are going to help you get there. And that's it. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
All right, we're almost done with our afternoon. Thank you so much for being here on this rainy afternoon. We really appreciate it deeply. So, housekeeping, the way that you earn attendance for having been here is you access the required survey follow-up form on the RTU portal. You can do that by going to the RTU website via the collaborative website, okay? That's how you get attendance for attending this event. You have until the end of September, which is next week, to fill that out. If you have any questions, there are going to be collaborative staff and reps staying after to answer any questions that you may have. But thank you so much today for coming together for our kickoff event about a community of preventionists. Now, preventionists, it's like, it's word salad, a community of preventionists. But basically what we mean is that we all have a part to play in substance misuse prevention. We all have a part to play in healthy youth in our communities. So, as you leave today, please understand that not only are we trying to talk to you about the impact of substances on young people, families, and communities, we are also trying to help you develop the skills necessary to make healthy decisions for yourself. Prevention, if you think about it, is like a river. Before you get on the river, and many of you who have listened to my lessons hear this, before we get on the river, before we get in that canoe, we have that protective gear with us. We have a life jacket, a phone, a friend. Those are the external assets, the things outside of self that keep us safe. And when we get in that boat, those internal assets, are we brave? Do we have knowledge of the river? Do we have knowledge of the boat? Those things that are inside us to keep us safe. So that when you hit the rapids of life, when you hit those big issues that could derail you, that you have the things necessary to keep yourself safe. You have the skills, you have the friendships, you have the caring adults in your life to be able to help you navigate the waters of life. Because life is not easy. So you noticed the bubble machine coming in, right? Some of you are probably like, oh, bubbles, that's cute, right? And did you have that feeling of like, oh, bubbles, right? Yeah, you're laughing, but bubbles are wonderful and children love them. So, in your resource bags that we're handing out, we want you to remind you of that childlike feeling, but also the fragility of your life. So there are bubbles in your resource bags. Additionally, as you walk out and get your resource bags, there are RTU fanny packs, because nothing says prevention like a fanny pack. I'm so stoked that you like that. That's awesome. And they have the themes for this year: accountability, integrity, and responsibility. Okay? And additionally, and this is super important because we ordered these things back in 2020 and we haven't passed them out yet. We have inspirational stones. Now, rapids on a river, those of you who navigate river, rapids are just water hitting obstacles underneath the water. And most of the time that's rocks. And so inside your RTU giveaway bags, you have inspiration stones that have smoothed out to remind you of the process, that even when water keeps on hitting those rocks, they eventually start to smooth. And the process is the thing. So, fanny packs, bubbles, RTU stones, please take these stones and put them out in our community. Where you have permission, don't just go like throwing them on the sidewalk. But where you can place them so we all have a visual reminder that the process is key and that we are all part of a community of preventionists. So again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to Rink for hosting this event. Thank you to Viking Nordic, who was here earlier. And thank you to Stratton and Magic, who are all